From the Southwest Network studios of Radio Nigeria, the time is 2 o'clock.
A very good afternoon to you and a warm welcome to another edition of The World Today. It is a Southwest Network program of Radio Nigeria, Ibadan's own station, comprising news and feature. And the lineup, federal government intensifies efforts for universal digital coverage. NYSC Director General advises core members on entrepreneurship. Canada extends proof of citizenship processing time. Ebola death toll hits 600 in DRC. Takes a look at reducing the trend of jungle justice. My name is Emilia Ojimudia and I'm reading with
Remy Omolola. You can also listen to us via live stream on www.radionigeriaibadan.gov.ng or watch us live on Facebook at Prem FM 93.5. Nigeria belongs to all of us. Contribute your quota to make her great. Now the news in full. The federal government has stepped up efforts to achieve universal digital identity enrollment through closer collaboration between the Federal Minister of Information and National Orientation and the National Identity Management Commission, NIMSI, in line with President Bola Tinubu's renewed hope agenda. The Minister of Information and National Orientation, Alhaji Muhammad Idris, stated this in Abuja while receiving the Director General and Chief Executive Officer of NIMSI, Dr. Abisoye Koka Odushote, and her team during a courtesy visit to present the key provisions of the newly enacted NIMSI Act 2026. The minister described an inclusive national identity system as essential for effective governance, national planning, financial inclusion, and digital transformation. He commended NIMSI for enrolling more than 136 million Nigerians and legal residents, while noting that millions more remain to be captured. Alhaji Idris urged the Commission to deepen collaboration with the National Orientation Agency to expand public awareness and grassroots mobilization, and praised NIMSI for maintaining a secure identity ecosystem without any reported data breach. NOAA Director General Alhaji Larry Issa Onilu pledged the agency's support for the nationwide enrollment drive through its presence in all 774 local government areas.
The Zonal Director, Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria, FRCN, Ibadan Zonal Station, Mr. Olufemi Fulani, has urged members of staff of the News and Current Affairs Department to remain optimistic about the future of Radio Nigeria, assuring them that the station will soon witness significant improvements. Mr. Fulani gave the assurance during an unscheduled visit to the department's weekly editorial meetings held at the Newsroom Broadcasting House, Dugbe, Ibadan. He said that on assumption of office earlier this year, the station was confronted with several challenges, including inadequate funding and a shortage of essential operational facilities, but noted that deliberate efforts were being made to address them. Mr. Fulani explained that the station was currently spending a substantial amount every month to offset outstanding electricity debts, expressing optimism that power supply would soon improve with the planned installation of the station's solar energy system. Earlier, the Deputy Director, News and Current Affairs, Mr. Adewumi Faniro, described the department as the foundation of Mr. Fulani's broadcasting career, recalling that he began his professional journey in its various units before serving at different capacities in Radio Nigeria across the country, later heading the Current Affairs Unit at the corporation's headquarters in Abuja and serving as the General Manager of Radio Nigeria Positive FM, Akure, Ondo State.
The Director General of the National Youth Service Corps NYSC, Brigadier General Olakunle Nafiu, has congratulated the 2025 Batch B Stream 1 Corps members on the successful completion of their national service, urging them to remain worthy ambassadors of the scheme and apply the skill acquired during service to become employers of labor. Brigadier General Nafiu gave the charge in his farewell message to the outgoing Corps members published on the NYSC official Facebook page. The Director General commended the Corps members for their dedication, patriotism and contributions to national development through their service year. He said their commitment at their various places of primary assignment made a positive impact on host communities and reflected the core objectives of the NYSC scheme. He urged them to continue representing the NYSC with honor and integrity wherever they find themselves.
The Senate has passed for second reading a bill seeking to strengthen Nigeria's legal framework against counterfeit medicines and unsafe food products by prescribing stiffer penalties, including up to 15 years imprisonment for offenders. The proposed legislation, titled the Counterfeit Medical Products, Fake Drugs and Unwholesome Processed Foods Prohibition and Control Bill 2026, is sponsored by Senator Umar Suleiman, representing Kwara North Senatorial District. Leading the debate, Senator Suleiman said the bill seeks to repeal the Absolute Counterfeit and Fake Drugs and Unwholesome Processed Foods Act 2004 and replace it with a modern legal framework capable of addressing emerging threats posed by counterfeit medicines, adulterated cosmetics, mislabeled chemicals, and unsafe processed foods. He noted that advances in technology, online marketing, cross-border trafficking, and organized criminal networks have rendered the existing law inadequate to tackle the growing menace. According to Senator Suleiman, the legislation is aimed at protecting Nigerians from preventable deaths and disabilities caused by fake medicines while restoring confidence in the country's healthcare system and pharmaceutical industry. The bill criminalizes the production, importation, manufacturing, transportation, distribution, sale, possession, and facilitation of counterfeit medical products, fake drugs, and unwholesome processed foods.
Senate Majority Leader Okpeyemi Bamidele has cautioned that the proposed state police system may become ineffective if adequate funding and financial independence are not guaranteed. Senator Bamidele warned that without a sustainable funding structure, state police could be exposed to undue influence from politicians, wealthy individuals, businesses, and criminal activities, thereby weakening its ability to effectively protect Nigerians. The lawmaker gave the warning while speaking with newsmen at a town hall meeting on state police. He stressed that funding will be a major factor in determining the success or failure of the proposed security arrangement. He then explained that the constitutional amendment being considered by the National Assembly was not aimed at forcing every state to immediately establish their own police force, but to provide the legal framework that will allow states to do so.
And still on political matters, the All Progressives Congress, APC, in Oyo State, has vowed to approach the 2027 general election with unity of purpose. Two chieftains of the party in the state, Senator Olufemi Lanlehi and Professor Taurid Adedoja, met the vow in their acceptance speeches as chairman and co-chairman of the Oyo APC Reconciliation Committee during the inauguration at the party secretariat in Ibadan. Senator Lanlehi and Professor Adedoja promised that all concerns and complaints being raised by some stakeholders would be addressed to enhance the performance of the party in next year's general election. The two chieftains lauded the state executive of the party for setting up the Reconciliation Committee, which according to them was a right step. In his remarks, the chairman of the party in the state, Chief Moses Adeyemo, charged the committee to use their wealth of experience to address all grievances which might have evolved in the course of the last party congresses and primaries.
The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory FCT, Nyesom Wike, had declared that President Bola Tinubu approaches governance as a serious business that must succeed. Speaking during a media chat in Abuja, Mr. Wike revealed that the rapid completion of the multi-billion naira project in short time frames was a direct result of strategic financial engineering approved by the President, which freed the FCT administration from the bureaucratic constraints of the Treasury single account. Explaining how the administration bypassed funding bottlenecks that have historically plagued government contract, Wike disclosed that the TSA had been a major impediment to the FCT's growth. The minister also addressed growing security concerns about hoodlums and illegal operators occupying major traffic junctions across the FCT, including Area 1 and Wuse 2. He announced that a specialized task force had been set up to clean up the streets. He then assured residents that while the administration cannot solve every infrastructural deficit simultaneously, development will remain gradual, structured, and continuous across all council areas.
And now from the nation's capital to Borno State, the governor, Professor Babagana Zulum, has flagged off the 2026 wet farming season with the launch of a 50% subsidized fertilizer program and the distribution of free agricultural inputs to 120,000 smallholder farmers across the state. The ceremony, held at the Kiawa Kusar main stadium, featured the unveiling of 200 truckloads of NPK fertilizers, which will be sold to farmers at half the market price. The state government also distributed free certified seeds, agrochemicals, knapsack sprayers, water pumps, bicycles and post-harvest storage facilities to support farmers and increase agricultural productivity. Governor Zulum warned beneficiaries against diverting or selling the subsidized fertilizers, stressing that the program is intended to boost food production and improve food security across the state. In his remarks, the Commissioner for Agriculture and Rural Development, Dr. Bawu Musami, said the state's sustained investment in agriculture is positioning Borno among Nigeria's leading agricultural producers.
Property owners affected by the circular road demolition in Onuara local government area of Oyo State have appealed to Governor Seyi Makinde to fast-track the payment of compensation approved for their demolished buildings. Speaking on behalf of the affected residents, a leader of the victims group, Pajimo Ahmed, commended the governor for approving compensation, especially for property demolished in 2023, but said many beneficiaries had endured prolonged hardship while awaiting the payments. Mr. Ahmed claimed that the delay had taken a heavy toll on many of the victims, while some reportedly falling ill and others dying even before receiving their compensation. He explained that the recent protest by some affected residents was sparked by rumor that the approved compensation had already been disbursed, a development that created anxiety among beneficiaries. While appealing for understanding over the protest, Mr. Ahmed reaffirmed the group's confidence in the state government, expressing optimism that the compensation will soon be paid.
The Eko Electricity Distribution Company, EKEDC, and the Ibadan Electricity Distribution Company, IBEDC, have announced power outages across several communities under their coverage areas following heavy rainfall that disrupted electricity infrastructure. EKEDC, in a statement, says electricity supply to its network had been reduced after outages on the Oshogbo-Ikeja 330 kV and Benin-Egbin 330 kV transmission lines, resulting in load shedding across some of its business units. Meanwhile, IBEDC said flooding triggered by a heavy rainstorm at the Layering Injection Substation disrupted electricity supply to several communities in Osun State. The power distribution came as several parts of the country continued to experience heavy rainfall and flooding following the peak of the 2026 rainy season. The Nigerian Meteorological Agency, NIMET, and the Nigeria Hydrological Services Agency, NISA, had earlier warned that many states, including Lagos and Osun, were at risk of flooding and advised residents and relevant authorities to take precautionary measures.
Oyo State Deputy Governor Chief Bayo Lawal has described the communal clash at Ojo in Akiyele local government area of the state as unfortunate and avoidable. warning that government would not condone any conflict that threatens to degenerate into tribal tension. Chief Lawal stated this when he led government delegation for a meeting with angry youth and community leaders. The deputy governor said the state government had launched an investigation to determine what triggered the violence and how ethnic tension escalated to fatalities in the area.
Criminals are criminals, and there's no tribal coloration to criminality. So we want to ensure that we ensure peace and stability here in Ojo and indeed any part of Oyo State.
Meanwhile, the Nigeria Police Oyo State Command has summoned the leadership of the two ethnic groups involving Ojo clash to ascertain the cause of the violence with a view to addressing it. The command's public relations officer, Mr. Olayinka Ayanlade, appealed to residents to remain calm, avoid spreading unverified information, and cooperate with security agencies by providing useful information to assist in the investigation. Mr. Ayanlade, however, said normalcy had been restored to the Ojo and Sabo areas, adding that security operatives remain on ground to maintain peace and prevent any further breakdown of law and order.
The situation is under control. Our men have been deployed there, and the operation is still ongoing to ensure safety in that area.
It will be recalled that economic activities were disrupted at Ojo and Sabo areas of Akinyele local government area of Oyo State yesterday following a violent clash involving some Yoruba and Hausa residents. The incident created panic among residents and commuters, forcing shops and markets to close, while traders, commercial drivers, passengers and other road users also fled for safety. The Lagos State government has removed illegal structures along Makonjuola Street in Ijuishaga area as part of its ongoing environmental enforcement exercise. According to a statement posted on the official X handle of the Commissioner for Environment and Water Resources, Mr. Tokubo Waap, the operation is aimed at enforcing environmental regulations, protecting public infrastructure, and promoting a cleaner, safer, and more orderly environment. The statement notes that the exercise targeted structures illegally erected on public spaces which obstructed access, contributed to environmental degradation, and hindered effective sanitation and drainage management.
2 persons have lost their lives in the early hours of today following a fatal road crash involving a truck and a commercial bus at Ogbere Junction on the Ogbere J4 corridor in Ogun State. The Federal Road Safety Corps, FRSC Ogun State Sector Command, stated that the crash involved a white Mack truck and an orange Peugeot J5 bus with no visible registration number. The FRSC disclosed that 4 adult male occupants were involved in the crash, with 2 of them dying on the spot, while the remaining 2 escaped unhurt. The Corps attributed the crash to route violation and excessive speeding, noting that the impact of the collision caused the Peugeot J5 bus to burst into flames, leaving its front section completely burned. The command also stated that its rescue team arrived at the crash scene within 2 minutes of receiving the distress call and immediately commenced traffic control to minimize disruption to motorists. Reacting to the incident, the Ogun State Sector Commander, Corps Commander Oludari Ogunjobi, expressed sympathy to the families of the victims and urged motorists to comply strictly with traffic regulations.
This is The World Today, the story that made headlines. Federal government has intensified efforts for universal digital coverage. NYC Director General has urged club members to become entrepreneurs, ambassadors of national unity. And still to come, Canada extends proof of citizenship processing time to 19 months. Ebola death toll in DRC hits 600. With this, the Myanmar will be right back. Stay with us.
We're glad to know you're still there with us. And now to the foreign scene. The Canadian government has announced that the processing time for its proof of citizenship has increased to 19 months. This was disclosed on the country's Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship website, explaining that the change takes effect immediately. The platform, although not affiliated with Canadian government, but has always given information about Canada's affairs, says the development represents a significant increase from the previous processing time, which had been steadily rising over the past years.
Indonesian President Prabowo Subianto says the free meals program in the country is escalating into one of its biggest corruption scandals in years, as officials struggle to account for the $15 billion initiative amidst allegations of mismanagement. President Subianto said the free nutritious meal program, launched in 2025, was aimed at addressing the chronic issue of stunted growth among children, improve their focus in school, and stimulate the local economy. He added that the program became necessary because Indonesia almost halved the prevalence of stunted growth over the past decade to around 20% of children nationwide.
Still on the foreign scene, the International Criminal Court, ICC, says it has concrete evidence linking leaders of the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces, RSF, to recent war crimes in the Sudanese state of Darfur. The ICC's Deputy Chief Prosecutor, Mrs. Nazat Khan, told newsmen that the court had reached a breakthrough in its investigation into the massacre of civilians in the cities of El Fasher and El Geneina. Mrs. Khan said the siege and takeover of El Fasher marked one of the bloodiest episodes in the ongoing war between the RSF and Sudan's army, where more than 6,000 people were killed as the RSF seized the city in October last year.
The Ebola outbreak in the Democratic Republic of Congo DRC has claimed 600 lives. The latest data, compiled by the World Health Organization (WHO) from Congolese health authorities, shows the country has recorded 1,659 confirmed Ebola cases since the outbreak was declared in mid-May, including 600 confirmed deaths. The outbreak has also spread to neighboring Uganda.
Let's now bring you Heart of the Matter, and it takes a look at reducing the trend of jungle justice. It is written by an intern from the Polytechnic Mesile, Osun State, Temitayo Ayodele.
In Section 33, 1999 Constitution, as amended, says, every person has a right to life, and no one shall be deprived intentionally of his life, save in execution of the sentence of a court in respect of a criminal offense for which has been found guilty in Nigeria. What is obtainable nowadays and which is daily becoming worrisome is the way and manner it is becoming easy to kill a human being. Just a rumor, a shout, or a business accusation is all that is needed, and within minutes, a fellow citizen whose life is protected is reduced to a charred corpse. No investigation is carried out, no evidence, no defense, and no trial. In every civilized society, the power to determine guilt and impose punishment is vested in the courts of law, even where the law prescribes the death penalty. That verdict is pronounced only after a fair and transparent trial. Even at that, a state governor has to sign the death warrant before execution. Cases of jungle justice abound in the country, with the recent being the gruesome killing of a school teacher and mother of four, Amol Kairi Aliyu, in Maraban Jos, Igabi local government area of Kaduna State. She was accused of attempting to steal children, while no missing child was produced, with no parents coming forward to identify a victim, and no evidence was presented to support the allegation. Ironically, on that same day, in Abakaliki, Ebonyi State, another woman narrowly escaped a similar fate after she was falsely accused of stealing 3 children. She survived only because the police successfully rescued her. An international agency reports that thousands of Nigerians have been tortured or killed in recent years without ever seeing the inside of a courtroom. jungle justice persists as a result of lack of trust in the criminal justice system, as it is believed that suspects arrested may regain freedom without persecution. Corruption, weak investigations, endless adjournments, and slow trials have reportedly contributed to this practice. At this juncture, it is important that every individual involved in jungle justice must be identified, arrested, prosecuted, and, upon conviction, given the maximum punishment prescribed by law. At the same time, the government must recognize that police officers are sometimes overwhelmed by violent crowds. Reinforcements should be rapid, well-equipped, and capable of dispersing mobs before lives are lost. It is pertinent that the National Orientation Agency must launch sustained nationwide campaigns against jungle justice in English and local languages at every market, motor park, school, palace, mosque, and church. Nigeria needs to take a cue from countries like the United Kingdom, Germany, Japan, and South Africa, which have demonstrated that modern criminal justice system, though imperfect, can replace public vengeance with lawful accountability. Although these countries have not eradicated unlawful killings, impacts have been made such that lynching is seen as an aberration rather than a recurring social practice. The time is ripe for the country to recommit itself to the sacred duty of protecting every citizen, especially those in its care. Anything less will signal that the rule of law is negotiable, which is a price no nation can afford to pay.
That script on reducing the trend of jungle justice was written by an intern from the Polytechnic, Imesile, Osun State, Timitayo Ayodele, and read by Belinda Quadri.
To end the news on the world today from the stable of Radio Nigeria, here again are the day's top stories. The federal government has stepped up efforts to achieve universal digital identity enrollment through closer collaboration between the Federal Ministry of Information and National Orientation and the National Identity Management Commission, NIMC, in line with President Bola Tinubu's renewed hope agenda. The Director General of the National Youth Service Corps NYSC, Brigadier General Lakule Nafiu, has congratulated the 2025 Batch B Stream 1 Corps members on the successful completion of their national service, urging them to remain worthy ambassador of the scheme and apply the skills acquired during service to become employers of labor. The Canadian government has announced that the processing time for its proof of citizenship has increased to 19 months. And last was I told you in the news that the Ebola outbreak in the Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC, has claimed 600 lives.
Well, that's it on the world today. Join us tomorrow for the weekend edition of the program. It was put together by Mudupe Toba. My name is Emilia Ujimudia. Thanking you for your time, and from my colleague
Remy Omolola. Do enjoy the rest of the day. Good afternoon.